Hi, welcome to Literary News. Rebecca here with Kathy H., a former student from school who is currently being called for her second donation. Kathy, before we get into real questions, I've just been incredibly curious. Do you remember anything from before Hailsham, or do you have the same infantile amnesia that all the other children from Hailsham had?
Before Hailsham? No, I don't know of anything before Hailsham. If I'd remembered anything, I'm pretty sure I would have got it down.
Okay. Well then, on to the next question. Why do you think that your guardians, with the exception of Miss Lucy, never told you anything about your future?
Knowing what I do now, I think they were just trying to protect us from just how hard donating could be on us. They did what they could to prepare us, I think, but without scaring us, obviously, especially the littler ones. If they told us every little detail at Hailsham, even just to the older kids, what they said would have been blown up and used to tease the younger ones. You know how kids can be, especially after how bad they were to Tommy.
About Tommy, didn't it just torture you when Ruth and Tommy were a couple? Why didn't you ever say anything? When they broke up, I know you were viewed by many as Ruth's natural successor. Why didn't you take advantage of that?
I certainly cared about Tommy, but I wanted to keep Ruth as a friend too. I guess I just viewed the relationship as something that Ruth wanted, and I knew that if I tried to break them apart, I would lose Ruth's friendship. It was kind of hard on me seeing Tommy with Ruth when I knew some of the things she said about him behind his back, but when they broke up, I was just too freaked out by the whole natural successor business. Plus, I wasn't sure how Ruth would react if I became a couple with Tommy after they'd been a couple for so long and so soon. I think the hardest part for me was when Ruth started talking about getting back together with Tommy. That was right when I was going to actually try to get together with him myself, but again, I didn't want to lose a friend.
Right. It doesn't sound like Ruth was a very good friend to you. Why did you care so much about what she thought of everything?
What are you talking about? Ruth was a great friend. Without her, I wouldn't have been invited on the trip to Norfolk with Chrissy and Rodney. She was always the one to make friends with the older kids at the cottages, and then bring Tommy and I along too. Sure, she had her faults, but friends fight sometimes. It's not like she was always trying to keep me down to make herself feel more important or anything.
Okay, if you say so. Also, let's clarify for your viewers. Chrissy and Rodney were veteran friends of yours at the cottages. Were you moved after leaving Hailsham with your class?
Yes.
Moving on, let's talk about the song that you love so much. What was it called again?
Never Let Me Go by Judy Bridgewater. I'm so glad I found it with Tommy on that Norfolk trip. I still listen to it, especially on bad days. I have my carer play it for me in my room. It just brings back so many good memories. Those memories are what get me through the days that I'm agitated or uncomfortable. Even though I know how badly I misinterpreted the lyrics when I first heard that song, I feel like that interpretation describes how I feel about my own inability to have children as a clone. And it gives me hope that somehow I'll get through this and somehow everything will just be alright.
Alright, Kathy. Well, one final question. I understand you not wanting to leave Hailsham because you didn't feel like you could take care of yourselves without your guardians. And maybe the stories about the woods and Hailsham scare you. But why didn't you ever just leave the cottages? There was nothing holding you back there. Why did none of you ever try to escape?
Escape? I don't understand the question.
Well, once you knew how to drive, you could just have left the cottages and never come back. Ruth could have had her dream in the future working in the office. You could have avoided all of this pain. You and Tommy could still be together. And none of you have ever made donations. So why didn't any of you ever try to get that?
Tommy and I did go try to get deferrals on our donations, but Madame and Miss Emily said they never actually did those. So Tommy went on with his fourth and final donation, and I went on with being a carer until I got called for my first. There was nothing else that could be done. People in the real world are too disgusted by what we are to really let us into their society. Sure, we can go into a store and buy something without an issue, but if any of us ever wants anything from a normal person, they suddenly realize that they're talking to a clone, and all doors of opportunity close. We still can't survive in the real world because normal society doesn't accept us as human.
Well, that certainly is a shame. That's all the time we have for tonight, folks, and let's hope that people can learn to accept people like Kathy and people with all their differences and the oppression of those who are different than what we have come to learn as normal. Next time, encouraging you to make that change. I'm Rebecca for Literary News, signing off.